When you think of family entertainment, what is the company that comes to mind first and foremost? For most people, it's Disney. When you think of sports attire, what do you usually think of? For many people, it's Nike. When you think of a phone in somebody's pocket, what is one of the first things people think of? Apple iPhone. Now, this is not just because of products. Now, arguably, they have some of the best product in the world because they have some of the most money, but they were not always that way. What they did have was incredible branding. First and foremost, they came to it with the thought of, if our brand and our marketing is better than everybody else, people will know who we are. And so you might think, what does direct consumer entertainment products and clothing have to do with a medical practice? Because a lot of people always assume that just because they're a medical practice, that they don't need to think about branding in the same way everybody else does. But I'm here to challenge that thought, because if you're watching this video, you're probably stagnant in sales, or maybe you're not scaling, and you've tried everything. You've done advertising, SEO, and maybe you've even mastered all of these things. But the thing that can tie it all together is a better brand. Because in a marketplace that is getting oversaturated, private equity groups on the rise everywhere, people are starting to catch on to the fact that you need to stand out in this world. You need to find a way to overcome the marketplace and get people's attention. Because at the end of the day, that's what marketing is. Marketing is getting somebody's attention. And so branding is a way to make sure that your first appearance is not only the best foot forward, but is just as memorable and trusting as the service that you're providing. If you're providing something that is supposed to better their health, better their life, they need to take a huge leap of faith and to trust you and your skills and all of your years of knowledge to help make them better. But if your brand doesn't show that, they might not even take the chance to trust you before you have a chance to show it and provide that service. Another way to think about it is if you were to walk into somebody's lobby, and when you went in, the paint on the walls was peeling, there's cracks all over the floor, there's some mold growth in the corner. Would you walk into this place and say, oh yeah, I want to be treated here? Of course you wouldn't, right? Like, that's the first thing somebody looks at is this place clean, especially in a medical office? Think of your brand as the same thing. Your website and your digital presence is your lobby. And in fact, it is more important than your lobby in many ways because it's the first thing they're gonna see. So if they go on their website, they look at your logo and everything is a mess, it's buggy, it's not up to date, what does that mean your service is? And even if your service is amazing, and I'm sure it is, and if you're watching this video, I'm sure it is, you care a lot about your practice, but the average consumer isn't gonna think that. If you take somebody like myself, when I research to go find a clinic, I go online, first thing I do is I go on Google. When I go on Google, I click on somebody's website. If that appeals to me, maybe I watch some videos on it, maybe I look at their FAQs, I read some blogs, I then go over to their Instagram, I go over to their YouTube, I go to their LinkedIn, and I just check to see if they're credible, if they have a presence, if they exist. That's the world we live in today. So what do you do about that? I'm sure you're sitting there wondering, like, yes, okay, I know brand is important, but what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my practice? I would say it depends on what your current goal is. The goals change depending. Let's say you're in a position that your brand looks to be at a high quality, but it's not converting at the rate that you'd like. Then you really have to start looking down into the details, right? Maybe at the stage of your practice that you're at, do you have enough video content online that's explaining everything? Are you sitting here like this, talking to the patients, looking between your cameras and telling them this is what you need to do to better your health and to better your results? This is what to expect with the testing. Things like that change the appearance. It gets to know somebody and they can make a decision watching a video before they even go in to see you. So maybe it's about getting more video for your practice. Or maybe you look and you're like, okay, my brand looks awesome. It looks like Red Bull. It's bright, it's vibrant, it's fun, but you look at what you're selling and you're sitting there like, well, does my audience want the medical practice to look like this? So in that case, you might be selling an amazing look that doesn't hit the target audience that you're looking for. And at that point, you would need to do more competitor research, more competitor analysis, and find out who your audience is and what it is they're gonna respond to. But if you're on the flip end and you go online and you say, oh my God, my website is broken, We haven't changed it in over 20 years. Our logo was designed by a friend of ours, and we've been running with it. We thought it was doing well, but you're watching this and maybe you're second guessing. You would know if it feels professional. And if you don't know, bring it over to some of the people that work in your practice. Show some friends, show some family, and say, do you think this logo or this brand is better than some of the local competitors in the area, or a large practice that you look to and aspire to in LA or New York? And if your answer is no, well, you know your problem. Your brand is outdated. And being in a day and age that things change so fast and audience interests are pulled all over the place, getting trust from somebody is really hard because what we consider aesthetically appealing changes all the time, right? Even in recent age, there's a lot of companies that still consistently change their logo designs with the rise of tech sector, because tech created a lot more simplistic minimalist branding. If I were to look at a practice's brand that felt outdated and it felt old, I would assume that when I go into the practice, a lot of their treatments and a lot of their technology would also be outdated as well. And before you get defensive on that, it's not meant to insult, it's to prove a point in marketing that that is what the instant understanding would be for your consumer. They would look at it and say, okay, this is an older school, safe practice that's been around a long time. But they might look at somebody else that's hip, their tech looks great, their booking system is fluid, and they might say, oh, they have the newest, latest and greatest technology, the best treatments, and they might go and spend more money over there or just choose to go there simply because they're looking for something that's more cutting edge. Obviously, there's so much nuance when it comes to branding, and there's so much nuance when it comes to overall marketing and market positioning. You really need to sit there and ask yourself, is your brand portraying the message that you want people to think of when they think of your practice? If you are high end, if you're luxury, if you are top tier, but your brand is not, then no matter how hard you try, you won't be able to hit the peak that you're looking for. If you're looking to be homegrown, wholesome, family owned, then your practice can't look like it's owned by a private equity group. It can't look like it has a lot of money, but it needs to be professional enough to give a wholesome, heartwarming approach. And so there's so much nuance with that creative, and you really need to understand it. And if you don't know, obviously, not only could you reach out to our team over at Grayton, but you can also reach out to any branding agency, any marketing agency around the country, and they would be willing to give it a look and to give you an idea of how you could position yourself. Because if you've never looked at professional marketing services, but you're watching this video, you know that something needs to change. And I highly recommend that brand be the thing that you really look at before you hone in more on your ads, before you hone in more on your SEO and all of your other marketing, emails and web, all that. First focus is your logo, is your aesthetic, is your brand appeal where it needs to be. Because if not, you can do all the work in the world and you're still gonna end up changing everything within the next 5 to 10 years when you realize that it is brand. So thank you so much. My name is Zachary Grayton. I'm the CEO and founder of Grayton Medical Marketing. And here at Grayton Medical, we focus on what we call the trifecta of medical marketing. And if you're curious and you want to learn more about what we do and how to improve your brand, you can reach out at the link below and we are able to help you out at any time. We will not charge for just a consultation and a base audit of your brand. We would love to hear from you, and we hope that no matter what, the value in this video at least helped.